Good afternoon, and welcome to this session of Wilmington City Council's Finance and Economic Development Committee meeting. My name is Bud Friel, and I'll be hosting the meeting this afternoon. Joining me from Council is our President, Hanifa Shabazz, and Linda Gray from the 1st Council District. As you know, the Mayor presented his budget last month for fiscal year 2021, Mayor Michael Brzezicki. It becomes Council's responsibility to review that budget. This is a 5th in a series of budget hearings that we have held, and it is Thursday, April 23rd. Today, we will hear from 3 departments. We will hear from our Audit Department, followed by the Human Resource Department and the Law Department. I did want to make just a couple of brief remarks about the budget. The budget itself was prepared and proposed before the COVID-19 pandemic, and in the budget, there are no tax increases or increases in water or sewer. During the budget hearings, you may hear some departments talk about additional cuts that they're going to make in their budget to try to help us get through this crisis situation. We are by code responsible to pass a balanced budget by the end of May, and that will be our goal. It will be a substitute ordinance from the one that was presented some weeks back, and most likely we will revisit the budget again in the fall to make additional amendments as we understand the full impacts of the pandemic on us. And also, I just want to state that you read and hear a lot about federal money being appropriated for a number of issues. The administration and council will aggressively pursue any federal dollars that's coming into the state or Newcastle County to help us cover some of the additional expenses and the shortfalls that we might see over the next several months. We're going to follow the same format that we followed for the other hearings. We're going to have a brief presentation from OMB. Then I will turn it over to the Director of the Audit Department, Mr. Terrence Williams, for any opening remarks and introductions. And then we will jump into a series of question and answers. Audit is a small department, so our time limit is 45 minutes for this budget hearing. I've asked council members to keep all their questions to budgetary matters. Any programmatic or constituent issues, they should take up different forums. We will have a period at the end for constituents to make public comment. You will need to raise your hand at some point during the hearing, and at the end we will recognize you for 3 minutes public comment. We do ask that you keep your comments to the budget that we're reviewing at this time. So I just want to mention we've also been joined by Councilmember Chris Johnson from the 7th District. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the Office of Management and Budget for their brief overview.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman Friel, Madam President, and all other honorable members of the City Council. Thank you for inviting me to present the Audit Department's fiscal year 2021 proposed budget request on behalf of the Office of Management and Budget. First, let me remind you that further details on the Audit Department budget can be found in the budget packet, as well as in your budget book, beginning on page 87. Additionally, I will reiterate what Mr. Chairman said, that the budget details I am presenting here are based on the original proposed budget, which was developed prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. The city auditor will be discussing further revisions to some of his budget items during his aspect of the presentation. Funding for the Audit Department is derived both from the general fund as well as the water sewer fund. The general fund request is $884,000 and represents a $69,000 or an 8.5% increase over FY 2020. The water sewer fund request, which only consists of accounting and indirect costs, is budgeted at $97,000, a 12% or a 9% increase over fiscal year 2020. All personal services are budgeted in the general fund, and the total personal service budget increased $42,000 or 7%. Regular salaries increased nearly $6,000 or 1.5%. Though a 2% cost of living adjustment or COLA was budgeted for all eligible city employees, this total increase was less than 2% due to an FY 2020 vacancy that was filled at a lower step than budgeted. Regarding benefits, pension contribution increased $19,000, while hospitalization increased nearly $21,000. However, these increases were somewhat offset by a $5,000 decrease in the state pension plan account line. Total MS&E is budgeted at $237,000 in the general fund, a $26,000 or 12.5% increase. This increase is almost solely due to an increase in accounting costs, which are budgeted at $178,000, a $25,000 increase over fiscal year 2020. These additional funds are to be used for additional services to assist the City Finance Department with adjusting journal entries needed to close out the fiscal year, assistance with the CAFR building software, and services to help expedite the completion or review of the statements and notes in the CAFR at the end of the year. A subsequent increase was also prorated to the accounting costs in the water sewer fund as well, totaling $12,000. This increase was the entirety of the increase in the water sewer fund, which is now budgeted at $97,000. This concludes my part of the presentation of the proposed budget request for Audit Department. I can answer any questions you have at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. I also want to mention we've been joined by Councilmember Santi Oliver from the 3rd District. Okay, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Terrence Williams for any introductory remarks, introductions, and then we'll jump into the question and answers. Mr. Williams, are you with us?
Yes, good afternoon, Chairman Friel. And I'd like to say thank you for having me here. Good afternoon, Madam President, and honorable members of City Council who are present as well. I also have Tamira Thompson, Audit Manager, here with me.
Hello, everyone.
As far as the vision for the Audit Department, we would like to be able to maintain an efficient approach to the overall audit process. And one of the things we'd like to do going forward is increase the amount of training we offer for automation so that we can have a holistic view of the populations that we're auditing going forward versus using statistical sampling and just testing a small portion of the population or target testing the population. We also would like to provide an independent and objective perspective to an accountable government. I know that's something that's hard to do sometimes, but that's something that we are responsible for doing as far as government, generally accepted government auditing standards are concerned. Each one of our engagements, we want to make sure we maintain our objectivity. And in instances where we cannot, we tend to bring in external consultant to help out in those instances where we think it's necessary. We also like to provide an efficient and effective audit and look for ways to help improve controls and processes at the city level. Next page, please. Our top 3 priorities are to conduct quality audits, provide timely and consistent audit follow-ups with management. We do that on a quarterly basis when we meet with the audit review committee. We have management attend those meetings so that they can discuss about the progress or the lack of progress that has been made since the last audit they actually had completed. We also like to promote awareness of the fraud hotline. It's something we do throughout the year as well. Next slide, please. The top 3 performance measures for the auditing department. Number 1 are looking at completed audits that are finished on the fiscal year. Reporting the status of management action plans to the audit review committee. We like to focus on whether something has been implemented as far as action plans, whether they're open, whether the action plans are past due with action taken or past due with no action taken. And we also have fraud calls investigated on an as-needed basis throughout the year as well.
Okay, before we jump into the question and answers, I was remiss in not introducing the Chief of Staff for the Mayor's Office, Danny Washington, and the Chief of Staff for City Council, Marshall Bastine. They obviously are also with us. Okay, could you discuss the number of plan audits proposed for fiscal year 21 and the number of plan audits versus completed audits for fiscal year 19 and 20? And then there's a couple of sub questions there.
Chairman Friel,
Yes,
definitely can talk about that, but we had missed a slide where it showed a reduction
okay.
for this year's fiscal budget. We're reducing the budget by $10,000 for travel and subsistence. I don't really foresee us being able to travel with the current COVID-19 pandemic, and so that was something that we definitely felt could be reduced. But as you know, our budget is very tight, but we figured that's something we definitely could reduce in our budget.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
The next slide, please. Regarding our FY21 audit universe, we currently do not have that information available because we have not sent out our annual risk assessment, which is used to help us develop what that audit universe will be. Hopefully next week we will be able to send out the annual risk assessment so that we can start circulating, getting interviews, and getting feedback as far as what the city managers, as well as we send it out to city council as well, to get feedback as far as what are the things that you all feel are the highest risk confronting the city. So that will be able to help us develop our audit universe for FY21 once that is complete. As far as the specific number of audits that will be carried over for FY21, we also do not have that, but as of today, we've completed 2 audits in FY20 from the FY20 audit plan. And we had 14 total, and 1 audit was put on hold due to an ADP conversion that was stalled. Now, as of today, I mentioned we had 2 FY20 audits that are completed, and we have 3 FY19 carryover audits that were completed during this fiscal year. And in addition, we had 6 audits that are work in progress on the FY20 audit plan. We have 6 audits that have not been started. So if I had to say as of today, most likely we will be carrying forward 6 audits to the FY21 audit plan if we're not able to start those audits by the end of this fiscal year. We also had 1 agreed upon procedures review that was completed in FY20. So when you look at the 1 agreed upon procedures plus the other 5 audits I mentioned, you have 6 audits that have been completed in FY20 thus far, 6 more that are work in progress, and 6 that have not been started.
I want to make sure I understand where you stand between 19 and 20. So you're going to carry over 6 audits for fiscal year 20.
Correct.
Is that correct? So does that mean all the other audits in 20 were completed?
We anticipate being able to wrap those up unless there are some unforeseen circumstances that prevent us. Because with the COVID-19, We've encountered some challenges with the workforce now working from home.
Right.
One of the things that audit does, it relies on the cooperation from process owners.
Right.
And, you know, during the past month and a half, information has been slower than usual due to the changes that the current workforce is experiencing. Hopefully things will pick back up and we will be able to proceed forward and continue completing the audits that we had planned on.
I guess I only raise that because if you have 6 that you're going to be carrying over, I would think that would then have some impact on your 21 plan, on how many audits you're actually going to list in your 21 plan. Is that correct?
Correct. We will not add as many audits due to the fact that we're going to be carrying forward 6.
Okay, all right. Councilmember Gray, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. Okay, we're talking about audits. So now that you've seen the recent audits for the Wilmington Housing Partnership and the multiple material deficiencies, when will you initiate the forensic audit that City Council had voted for? And if not, why not?
Good afternoon, Councilwoman Gray.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
We came to this meeting prepared to talk about our budget.
Yeah, let me go ahead and interrupt here. We're here to discuss the fiscal year 21 budget, the audit department. I understand that you have concerns about the partnership. You can bring those up with Mr. Williams anytime, any other time except for this budget hearing. You can also request that it be put on the agenda for the Community Development and Urban Planning Committee meeting. I'm not going to start discussing the housing partnership as part of his budget.
Well, I'm not discussing how, I'm discussing an audit that we requested, and I'm asking.
The audits are completed, and you have those audits to review, but they're not part of his budget hearing today.
I don't have any other questions then.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on to question number 2. Discuss the planned use of $227,000 budget and accounting fees for the external audit. And there's one sub question to
that. We currently have $189,000 budgeted to cover the cost of the external audit firm. And we actually just had that selection approved today at our audit review committee meeting. Dolphin, Lyons, and Sherman will be the external auditor for the city for the next 3 years. $38,000 is budgeted to fund additional auditing services provided by consultants as deemed necessary. And we also have $35,000 budgeted for the CAFR assistance to the finance department. That's something that's included in our budget this year. In prior years, it was part of the finance budget. But because we saw where those additional fees were being charged, we both agreed that it made more sense for it to appear in audit's budget unless they have additional services that finance specifically needs for their department, we will be able to cover it.
Okay, can you go over some of your vendors?
Yes. Community Services, they've been one of the vendors that we've used in the past to help out with Delmarva's audit. And we also have Victor Prosperos. He's a consultant who's currently working on the Treasury audit for us. Unfortunately, that audit we have not been able to progress forward because of various delays that have presented themselves, but those are two vendors that we've used in the past.
Okay. Discuss the planned use of $22,000 budget and temporary agency account line.
The $22,000, that's going to be used for the part-time office assistant that we have with us throughout the fiscal year. She's been with our department since I've been with the city prior to me joining the city. Next slide, please.
Okay. discuss how the city and your department is promoting the city's fraud hotline, and there's a couple of sub-questions there.
Our department promotes the fraud hotline via the city's website. We also have signage and pamphlets throughout the city. And on a limited basis, we perform advertising. In the past, during like Fraud Awareness Week, we've done that, and I can see us continue to do that going forward. And as far as
you take advantage of WITN at all?
we have taken advantage of WITN in the past as well as part of the advertising that we utilize. And because of our budget is so limited, we really have to monitor when we actually do things of that nature. And typically, it's been during Fraud Awareness Week when we've incorporated utilizing WITN.
Can you specify if there have been any fraud cases as a result of any calls to the hotline?
We've had calls to the hotline throughout the year and throughout the last 3 fiscal years. In FY18, we had 4. In FY19, we had 15. And in this fiscal year, we've had 4. Now, sometimes we receive calls and they're pretty much routed to the appropriate parties if they are not things that we feel really should be investigated by our department.
Can you discuss any outcomes from the most recent audit peer review?
Our department successfully passed the last peer review, and there were 3 observations and suggestions noted by the peer review team that have been addressed.
When was that? When did that actually take place?
You know the actual month?
September of last year.
September of last year.
September of 2019?
Yes, and we have the actual report on our website. If anyone would like to see the report. We updated our policies and procedures to reflect the 2018 Yellow Book revision and electronic checklist, including references to all key requirements of gas for planning, evidence, and reporting. We have changed the form. We have changed from reporting our CPs on the fiscal year reporting to a calendar year basis. This will be consistent with the Institute of Internal Auditors requirements for reporting hours annually.
That's what PPEs are?
Certified, continuing professional education. That's the training that we have to do each year. And biannually, we have to have 80 hours of CPE credits completed. We have also updated our electronic checklist to document evaluation of computer processed information.
Will the current situation impact your folks getting their CPEs?
I don't foresee it impacting the team being able to fulfill that requirement, because my team, they're currently working from home and we have access to the VPN. And I know for a fact during our checkups, people are taking CPE credits while they're home.
You have credits you have to maintain every 2 years?
Yes, we have to maintain 80 credit hours every 2 years. We typically put up 40 hours each year.
Right. All right. The last item, as with the other departments, is the organizational chart, which again is a small one on 1 page. And then also there's a list in the packet that lists each employee and their job description. All right. Any other questions from council members? All right. Is there any questions from the public that would like to make any comments on the audit department's budget? And I'm not seeing any. And I'm not seeing any other questions. Councilmember, Mr. Williams, thank you, and Ms. Thomas, for coming in and answering our questions. I'm assuming you'll come back to us as soon as you have your fiscal year 21 audit plan in place, so we can discuss and review.
Yes, we definitely will have that at the annual, our next audit review committee meeting, and we'll be able to share that and publish that on our website so that anyone that would like to see it will have access to it.
All right, thank you. We're going to take a little break, and then we're going to come back at 4:45 and review the budget for the Human Resource Department. Thank you very much.